On this first week of Advent, we remember the promise of God to be with us now and in the future.
As we wait for God's promises to be fulfilled, light a candle as a symbol of our hope.
Jesus says, I am coming soon.
Amen. Come, Lord Jesus.
Heaven and earth will pass away, but the word of God endures forever. Let us worship God. faithful and patient and enduring in love for us and toward us, empowering us in faithfulness and gratefulness that we might live our lives to the fullest, that we might live and be alive in the face of death, in the face of brokenness, in the face of disappointment, that there is nothing in this life which can separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus. It's in that spirit that we turn to this prayer for help. Help from God. Help us to find forgiveness where we need to be able to forgive, and help us to offer forgiveness and to receive forgiveness, because this, my friends, is the pathway to life. Let us pray together. God, our Maker, we confess that we are not ready to meet you. We study the trends of our times and ignore the signs of your reign. We trust in things that pass away and forget your eternal promise. Forgive us, God of grace. Strengthen us by your hand, so that we may be ready for that day when you come to reign in glory. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. That would separate us in its power from the renewing, remaking love of God. This is our prayer as we stand at the baptismal font and we think of what water does. It renews, it refreshes, it cleans us, and it helps us to find our way to what is refreshing and renewing in life. Friends, this is the sign of the water. It points to the power and the willingness of God to answer yes to our prayers. Friends, believe the good news of the gospel. In Jesus Christ, we are forgiven. Let's sing of it together. Stand. Receive it and also that we might share it. Will you pass the peace of Christ one to another in Jesus' name?
that you would tear open the heavens and come down, so that the mountains would quake at your presence. As when fire kindles brushwood and the fire causes water to boil, to make your name known to your adversaries, so that the nations might tremble at your presence. When you did awesome deeds that we did not expect, you came down, the mountains quaked at your presence. From ages past, no one has heard, no ear has perceived, no eye has seen any God besides you, who work for those who wait for him. You meet those who gladly do right, those who remember you in your ways. But you were angry, and we sinned, because you hid yourself and we transgressed. We have all become like one who is unclean, and all your righteous deeds are like a filthy cloth. We all fade like a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, take us away. There is no one who calls on your name or attempts to take hold of you. For you have hidden your face from us, and have delivered us into the hands of our iniquity. Yet, O Lord, you are our Father, we are your clay, and you are our potter. We are the work of your hand. Do not be exceedingly angry, O Lord, and do not remember iniquity forever. Hear what the Spirit is saying.
Thanks be to God.
Invite the children to come up and join in the conversation together. How are you? Good, thank you. Glad to be here with you today. Excellent question to start off the children's story. How come Jesus is here when it's not Christmas yet? That's an excellent, excellent question, and I did not tell you to say that ahead of time, right? Right? Hi. Hi. So, You know, I found, as a pastor, I go into people's homes, maybe more than other people do. Like doctors, they stay in their offices, and, you know, people who help, they don't generally go into people's homes. But you know what? In what I do, I go into a lot of people's homes. They invite me in. I don't just show up. Pastors used to just show up. They did. Yep. But no more. Now, I just sometimes go there. Sometimes because somebody's sick, or sometimes because a baby is born and it's really happy. This little child just went, okay. But when I go into people's houses, you know what I find? Sometimes I'm walking around in the living room, or I look over on the mantle, and situated in people's houses, there are these things. Sometimes it's, I don't know, a picture. Sometimes it's a little figurine that sits somewhere. Sometimes, I don't know, it's a rock in a weird place. Or it can be anything. And so when I go into people's homes, I pay attention to the things that are sitting around. And sometimes, you know what I do? I say, tell me the story about this stone here. And people say, funny you should ask. And what I have found is that what people set around in their homes, usually there's a story behind them all. There's a story. There's a story behind that lamp, or there's a story behind this piece of cloth that sits here. There's a story behind it. And I'm a story person. I like to hear those stories, so I will say, tell me the story about this picture with you. There's you, and I don't know this person. Today, we've come into our house together, right? And there are these things sitting here. You see them? And I wonder, I know it's just the first Sunday of Advent, but can you tell me, what's the story here? What's the story? Now, the way I'd like to do it is, I'm going to pick up a piece of it, okay? And I'm going to ask you, maybe you'll take turns, and see if you can tell me the story of this piece. Okay? You ready to try? You think you can do it? All right, what's the story over here? What is the story? Not of this, but of this. What is the story with this? Yes? They found a thing. Mary and Joseph needed a place to put the baby when the baby was born. And so they found, she called it, she said it was a place where the pigs eat. I know, it's funny, it's good. And then you said, what, it's a trough? Yeah, kind of, yeah. They fill it with hay, and they put the baby in there. Okay, so, somebody else. What is the story with this guy? What is the story with this? No, somebody else. Yes? He's one of the wise men that followed the star to see baby Jesus. Yeah, and here he is, seeing baby Jesus, right? All right, let me see if I can get a harder one. What is the deal with this? No. Somebody else? What's the deal with this? Anything? Why is there a cow? That's an old. It is. Technically. Why do we have a bull sitting in a little cage in front of the church? No? Make a guess. Because it's one of the animals from the barn. Because we remember that Jesus was born in a barn or a cave or something like that. right? That definitely wasn't a house, right? Okay. What is the deal with this? What is this? Do you know what that is? What is it? It's an angel. What is an angel doing on the floor in church? Why is there an angel? She's watching over the baby. She's watching over the baby, isn't she? Yeah. It's exactly what she's doing. Yeah. What about this? What about this? What's this about? What? It's a bat. It's a sheep. What? It's a lamb. Well, it's kind of an older lamb. What is this doing in church today?
It's a barn animal, so it's obviously going to be there.
All right, it's a barn animal, so it might already be in the barn. But I think there's more to the sheep, right? It's something to do with the shepherds, the sheep. And so maybe there's more information than who is this dude and what is he up to? Look at this guy. What is this? There's a sheep here. What's going on? Do you know what this is? Yes? She's whispering it to her mom. You know what it is? No? You know what this is? It's a sheep. And this guy's carrying the sheep, isn't he? Yeah. Who carries sheep?
I believe the shepherd was told by at least an angel, maybe not that angel, to find baby Jesus.
Yeah, he said, I believe the shepherd was told by an angel, maybe not that one, but by an angel to find baby Jesus. And they did. Today, I wanted to have all of the things that remind us of the story here at the beginning of Advent. Next week, when you come, we'll do the thing that we've done from time to time, and that is all of them will be missing. And I'll just have the manger, and we'll try to find Mary and Joseph in the building somewhere. But today, I wanted to have them all here. Because, see if you can follow me on this. Christmas isn't something that is going to happen. Say it again. It's already here. Every day. Every day. And there's a part of Advent that reminds us not to just wait for it as something in the future, but to think about this as Christmas Day, as is every day of our lives. Thank you for coming up and sharing this time with me today. Yes, they do. He said that makes sense because most people start Christmas season right after Thanksgiving, even before. Second lesson today comes from the Gospel witness to Jesus according to St. Mark. This has been called the Little Apocalypse. The Little Apocalypse, apocalyptic material is writing that sees a time when everything will change. And it's particularly important to people who lived in times of great persecution. Throughout the world, you can find, sometimes inscribed on prison walls, or sometimes in the etchings from the communities under great duress. You find witness, almost like a light shining in the darkness, of a vision, of a radical words or vision that speak of a belief, a hope, that things will not always be the way they are. This is the little apocalypse, and some believe its timing for understanding is to be thought of as immediately after Rome, in its frustration with the very presence of Jews and Christians. Rome tore down the temple. They demolished it, and they removed it so that not one stone would be left, that even someone could come as a memorial. Listen for the words of Jesus, and think about the fact that in Mark, after that suffering or affliction, is somehow the Christian community reflecting on that trauma that has happened in their lives. But in those days, after that suffering, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. And the stars will be falling from heaven and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory, and then he will send out the angels, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the earth. From the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore, keep watch, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at the cock crow, or at dawn. Or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. What I say to you all, keep awake. Hear what the Spirit is saying. Thanks be to God. This text is apocalyptic material. It's not intended to be tame, and it gets abused a lot. It's intended to be wild writing. It's intended to be almost like you might see when the subway car goes by, something that someone has written on the side of the subway about a sign or a symbol of something that maybe they know the meaning of, but you don't know. If you saw the movie The Hunger Games, there was in that movie a sign of a mocking jay, and the appearance of this image of a bird which sings an imitated song, becomes for the whole ethos of the whole movie and the whole story a sign of the fact that things are going to change. And sometimes it was a stirring up to revolution that was our responsibility to change things, and sometimes it was just a simple symbol accompanied by fire that things will not remain the way they are, and that was thought of as good news. apocalyptic material is wild. It shouldn't be contained in a tame sermon. It shouldn't be just simply, well, let me help you to make this all make sense. It is a word that is spoken into a place where you should be aware that Jesus is aware that in our lives there are circumstances of affliction that will, and that is the word, by the way, it's used 3 times in this text, afflictions. Things that we must face in our lives that knock us out of the sense of our ordinary life and make us wonder whether all hope is gone, make us wonder how am I going to make it through the day, how will I make it to next week, because in our lives, my friends, our lives are filled with this sense of either the affliction is about to come or it's already here or I just made it through and I wonder what's coming next. This is the experience of our life, not because we want to be people who are full of despair, but because we are people who want to be realistic. We don't need to come to church and pretend that everything is fine. We can come to church with a sense that sometimes I'm okay and sometimes I'm not. I go back to my early days as a pastor and remember that one of the saddest things that was true, and I didn't really know how to change it, maybe it wasn't about me or the church or anything, but I met this woman who never came to church. And I went to visit her. I was called to do pastoral visitation. I went to visit her and I said, I know that there was a time when you used to come to church all the time. And she said, I did, and I'm still a person of deep and abiding faith, but I cannot come to church. I want to come to church, but I cannot come to church. And I said, well, what is the problem? And she said, every time I come to church and the organ starts to play, I begin to weep. And my weeping will not stop. And I'm aware, or at least I'm worried, that people will look at me and wonder, is she losing her mind? Try as I might to tell her this is the place to come and weep. And you know what? If you get started, maybe that'll break the rest of us down and we can all weep too. But I understood. Later on, in the years after I was there, the church started another worship service where there was no organ. Sorry, Chris. It was only piano. And she tried it. She came to church. And at the end of that service, she said, well, I only wept a little today. There is this reality to life, and I know it. I am a pastor. I know it. I walk in these pathways. I know. You don't have to imagine that it's people somewhere else. The challenges that you face, that I face, that we face together sometimes feel like enormous afflictions. And Jesus speaks a word into the experience of our lives, and He simply hopes to release in us a mysterious power which we call hope. And I am not talking about something that will take place in the future. Jesus, in this description of the apocalyptic experience, actually does not say, get ready for what is coming. He says, don't let what's happening in your life lead you to miss what is in your life. I'm one of those people. I was having a time of, okay, well, I have to change my attitude if I'm going to put this in my sermon, because I remember going into Home Depot 2 days before Thanksgiving and seeing they already had all their Christmas decorations up. And I thought to myself, I wish I was the kind of person that could then boycott Home Depot, because what are they doing with the Christmas decorations up on 2 days before Thanksgiving? That's just awful. Now, I don't know what to tell you, because today my sermon is, yeah, we should have Christmas every day. Maybe Home Depot has something there. I'm sure it's not because they're just trying to get the edge on marketing. I'm sure they're trying to teach us something that we ourselves don't remember about Christmas. Christmas is not about anticipating what is to come. Christmas is about opening up what already is. Christmas is not about nurturing ideals and our hopes about what we wish we were or who we wish we would become. Christmas is about the realization that what we are who we are today, where we are today, is in the presence of God. This is the realm in which God is at work. Friends, in the Christian church, I have a lot of colleagues who are very, very fussy about this. And that is that during Advent, you can sing only Advent hymns. If you look at the hymn book, it's organized to make sure that you don't make a mistake. Because in the beginning it says, these are Advent hymns. There's about 11 of them. And you don't sing Christmas hymns during Advent. Because Advent is Advent. And singing Christmas hymns before Christmas is cheating. I wanted to sing Silent Night today. Silent Night. Will you sing it with me? Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round the virgin mother and child, holy is so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in While you're singing, I see the angels going out, gathering you up. I see the angels of God coming, gathering you back in from wherever you've been spread in your life. I see and understand the power of hope as it takes root in us. It does not have a day. It is today. I sometimes get overwhelmed and discouraged as I go into nursing homes, especially during the holiday. And I remember a few years ago, I was visiting in a nursing home, and if you want to understand the meaning of the word affliction, go into a nursing home and spend some time. But also, if you want to see and understand the power of hope, go into a nursing home and spend some time. And I still remember walking down the hallway in a mood of, wishing that it was different for everybody else and wondering what will be my future and all the rest of those things that happen. And as I was walking down the hallway, filled with a sense of, I guess it's despair, I don't know what it is. And I noticed in the hallway ahead of me there was a woman who was coming toward me in her wheelchair. She could barely reach over the edge to get to the wheels to move herself. And she was kind of looking down because that's the posture that she was left with in life. And she's making her way down the hallway, and coming the other way in the hallway was another person, also in a wheelchair. And at first I thought they might run into each other, and then I was aware that they knew very well of the presence of each other, and they moved just a little to the left or to the right, and without a word, the one put out her hand to meet the other person's hand, and they touched, and then they continued on their way. It is the power of the indomitable spirit of hope that finds its expression in kindness, that finds its power beyond belief, the magnitude of it, because it is not high and lifted up, it is lowly, it is small, and it is present with us. Keep alert, Jesus says. Keep alert. Don't you get drunk. Don't you go to sleep. Because right where you are today, right now who you are, not who you can become, not what's going to happen in the future, but right now, in this day, on this day, in this place. The Lord is with you. The Lord is carrying you in those everlasting arms and is releasing you to the promise which is already with us. One commentator that I was reading said that he's angry with Norman Rockwell. He's angry with Norman Rockwell because what Norman Rockwell did was to paint pictures, which I love, especially the one of his Thanksgiving meal, and the idea of what makes us happy, and they're beautiful, beautiful, reminiscent pictures, a little kid in the doctor's office. But the writer was saying he's angry with Norman Rockwell because what it does is it stirs in our hearts the mistake that we need to somehow romanticize or to picture the ideal as being something we don't have yet, or something that's already past us. This call to Advent 1, this call to beginning the posture of the people of faith is a call to recognize that with certain eyes and with certain hope in our hearts, when we look around, we will see that what Norman Rockwell saw in his vision, it's different here, but you should come and see it the way I see it. May your eyes today, may your hearts today be filled with the power of looking around, seeing what God is doing right today in your life, exercising the opportunity that as you walk past others, maybe you might reach out your hand and recognize the power of love and kindness and grace, which is right here, changing the world. Amen. Let us gather together our gifts to give out of the gratitude of our hearts and out of the hope of ministry that will come as God takes the money and time and energy of our lives that we give and turns them into signs of hope and ministry and grace, not just for this community, but for the community around us. If you have not filled out a pledge card yet, there's some in the bulletin for you. If you're new to this church, I'll just tell you how this works. We're not trying to force you to give money. We're just saying that if you're in the habit of putting some money in the plate from week to week when you come here, if you would give us an idea of an indication of what you hope to put in the plate next year, that would help us to be good planners. It would help us to make a decent and good plan, because that's just how we live. Let us offer our gift for God's grace and love in the world today. remembrance of Jesus, the sacrament of signing and sealing to our lives the promise of God's grace that we might be empowered to live in faith. This table is not ours. It was shared with us, and in its best witness, we share it with everyone. And as we come to this table, we're reminded that the church, the early church in the first century, tried to find ways to set a symbol apart, like we talked about with the nativity pageant, that each thing would tell the story of Jesus. And as a child growing up, I was always aware and overwhelmed a little bit by how sad communion was. Because in the celebration of communion, we remember that Jesus was murdered, that he was sacrificed. But as I've grown older, and with the witness of other traditions, I have also come to know that in some strange way, throughout centuries, this has been a feast of joy. A feast of the power of God in hard times. A feast that feeds our hope, especially when all hope seems to be gone. So today, we come to this table, to this bread, to this cup of grape juice. These are simple signs, but they sit like lampposts in our lives. Stories told to remind us today that God is with us, will strengthen us, and will empower us in our faith. Let us share in this feast together. Let us pray. O Lord, our prayers grow out of the experience of our lives. We have needs, we have confusion, and we have hurts. We have hopes and joys too, but our prayers are that you would enrich us with joy and hope, and that you would help us in our times of struggle. And our prayers are often not for ourselves. They are for others around us, for those that we want to help but we don't know how to, for those that we've tried to help and sometimes it's made it worse. Lord, in the confusion and the affliction of our human experience, we lift our prayers to you. We pray to you as people who seem and feel powerless to shape the experiences of the world, but yet we are influenced and affected by the world, by nations around us with threats of war and famine and rebellion and all manner of things that undoes human life. Lord, our prayers rise up to you. We pray for the experiences of injustice that have been enshrined into our way of life that we can no longer see, for prejudices for which we seem unaware, for injustices that have become part of the normal way of life. Lord, tear the heavens open and come down to us. Open our eyes and our hearts and our minds that we might see again the vision of your holy city and of your way. To that end, we lift all of our prayers, all of them. And we ask that you hear us and understand the meaning of the longing of our hearts, even as we pray as Jesus taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I give it to you as it was given to me. This story behind the bread and behind the cup. That it was on the night that Jesus was gathered with his friends in the upper room. And there they sat and they were eating. And Jesus took the bread which had been so important in their history of what had sustained them in their life. reminding them of the manna which fell from heaven when there was no food. Jesus took the bread. He prayed and thanked God for the bread. And then he broke it. And as we remember it, we think that perhaps he broke it because his life was about to be broken. But in any respect, we remember it this way. He took that broken bread and he passed it to his disciples there in that room. And he said to them, "Take, eat from this bread, for this is my body broken for you. Eat from this, all of you, and remember me." In the same way, the scripture says, and the story is told, that after they had eaten, Jesus took the cup. It was the cup reserved. It was a story in and of itself, the cup, for it told the story of Elijah and the power that God had expressed to speak the truth of love into the places of hatred. It was a cup that already had a full meaning, and Jesus said, as he took the cup, "This is the cup of the new relationship with God, for the forgiveness of sin, for the release of everything that keeps you captive. This cup, drink from it. It is my life given for you." Every time we drink from this cup and eat from this bread, we proclaim our faith in the one who has come and yet will come. Friends, these are the gifts of God for the people of God. Come, let us eat together. encouraging one another, yes, to hold out for what is to come. But travelers, listen to the watchman. He tells you of this day. He tells you of its life, of its power, and of its love. He invites you in the exchange of mercy and kindness and grace to declare, this is the day of the Lord. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the face of God shine upon you and shine through you into the world. May God be kind and gracious unto you, and everyone that you know and love. May God be kind and gracious with an extra portion to those who are convinced that no one really loves them at all. May God teach us all how, in this day above all else, to be kind and gracious to one another as it sets us free to peace. Amen.
I'm saying, if you send me an email or something. Well, actually, I'll have you.